Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Big West Mafia Show here on the College Football Mafia Network. I am again filling in for Sergeant Pickles. He should be returning next week. But until then, Becky and I are going to hold the fort down. We're going to talk some football tonight. West Coast football culture clash, styles clash. Uh, 25 days, Becky. 25 days until the western wing of the Big Ten gets added. What do you think?
It's crazy, right? Like everything's painted on it now, and the fields are good to go. The courts are done. Like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I got the new patches on the uniforms. I'm sure the Oregon Ducks have 17 different patches for each one of their different uniforms. Um,
Well, I mean, Washington has three different patches right now, so
I think Ohio State has two.
yeah,
So,
we're gonna be wearing. Washington's going to be wearing when they wear the gold pants. The Big Ten logo will be uh, gold, like a purple and gold. And then when they wear purple on purple, it'll be white. And then obviously a solid purple for the white uniform. So it's gonna be
yeah,
very
well,
weird.
yeah, I think Ohio State's only got two. They might have three. It depends on their throwback uniforms for this year.
Yeah.
But I want to talk a little bit about these West Coast teams coming to the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, styles clashes. Generally when we think West Coast football, we think high-powered offense, no defense.
Yep.
That narrative's changed in recent years. Oregon, Washington, obviously being at the forefront of that. Um, Utah played a little bit of defense as well. So, what do you think? How do you think this is going to clash? Who do you think is going to adapt best, and which do you think is going to adapt more? Is the existing Big Ten going to have to adapt more to the Pac style, or is that Pac style going to have to adapt more to the Big Ten?
I think the Big Ten's gonna have to adapt to the pack.
Okay.
The offenses are better. Um, we can talk all day. Well, Iowa plays great defense, Michigan plays great defense, yada yada yada. But at the end of the day, they've got to be able to keep up and score points. Defenses don't always play well week in, week out, as we've seen. Can an offense keep up with like USC, for instance? USC's playing the old air raid. That offense worked at Oklahoma. It's working there. They're going to score in bunches, and that's a team that, if they play defense, is really scary. Like UCLA played. We'll use UCLA as a great example. Last year they played Big Ten style in the
Yeah.
Pac-12. It didn't work out well.
To their credit, though, they did have a true freshman quarterback under center all year. So,
Well, they mixed it up a bit,
mhm.
and Chip Kelly seemed like he probably mentally was checked out anyway.
Yeah,
But yeah, they played that style. It didn't work out well for them. They couldn't get things going, and yeah, like you said, they did have some issues on the offensive side of the ball, but they brought in a power running back from the Midwest,
hmm
played at Ball State, who was actually a really good runner. They tried to play that physical style and couldn't do it. Um, Teams eventually figured it out and were able to throw and run on them. So it's just a matter of like, they're going to score points. You can't shut them out. They're going to get 10 points. They're going to get 13. That's how they're going to roll. It's just, can you do it? And you have, like you said, Oregon is the one right now who's built like an SEC team. So you got to adapt to Oregon. Everybody's like the West Coast schools. They've been playing each other so long that their recruiting was built to beat each other. So a lot of the players that came in the previous years were built to beat USC and Oregon. And then if you look at the last 10 years, Washington was the one that won a lot of games. So they're built to beat those Chris Peterson physical teams. They're going to do it. But, and I say this, I know I'm on a little bit of a rant here, but I say this with all sincerity. These teams will have to adapt to the cold weather because they rarely ever play in it out here.
Yeah, you're fortunate though. It's not nearly as cold as it used to be. So,
Yeah.
but when you go to play Northwestern on Lake Michigan, good luck.
Good luck.
Let's say hello to some people, Becky, because we got
Yeah.
people pouring in here. Sergeant Pickles is first afternoon all. Thanks again to Moen and Becky for holding down the fort, doing what we can. Pickles.
We're trying.
Sergeant Pickles again. My bold call is Washington upsets Michigan en route to a 9-win season. That is a bold call.
That's bold. That is bold.
Especially with all those draft picks that came out of Washington this year.
Yeah.
Ryan Willie, the evil Badger, says he's lucky that you guys don't play Wisconsin this year.
I think Wisconsin's lucky they don't play us.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty even matchup myself. That'd be a good game.
It'd be a
I'd
good
like
one.
to see that. I'd like to see that. Ryan Willie again. Northwestern shouldn't play games on the field in the lake. How many footballs will end up in the lake? That's true. I don't even know that they've finished bleacher construction yet there at Northwestern. So they're going to have to start really kicking it into high gear here if they want to have any semblance of fans, which they generally, the student section at Northwestern usually turns out. So
Yeah.
they got to have some fans there.
Yeah, I think for them, because I'm like you, I think a month ago they hadn't even started building anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know when that first home game is, but I would be very concerned if I was like a Northwest fan going, will it be safe to sit on these?
I could just not imagine having your back to Lake Michigan in November as a fan.
No.
Timothy Green has a bold statement. He says, I think all the West Coast teams will make a bowl game this year that have joined the Big Ten. I think so, too.
It could. UCLA is a bit of a wild card with that, but
two of them might make the playoff.
It's totally possible.
Timothy Green says, however, I think all of the West Coast teams that joined the Big 12 will not go to a bowl game this year. That team being Arizona State will get left out.
Fair. It's Arizona State. It's not like they were great last year.
They were better. They were improved,
better,
but that's not saying very much. Stephen Veit with we got a membership gifted here.
Uh-oh.
Ricky has gifted a membership to the Big Lubbock. Yep, you made sure to thank Ricky. Ricky, we thank you. Makes you a winner in our book, brother. Much appreciated. And that sounder will play probably by the time the Big 12 Mafia show starts next Tuesday. There it goes.
Yeah.
Get back up here to Stephen Veit because I really did want to get that comment about Oregon. Stephen says, no doubt in my mind that Oregon will have the most success in the big out of the West teams this year. And I'm not a Duck fan. I'm not either, but I mean, you can't, with the amount of talent that they have put and the amount of treasure they have poured into their NIL program, it's without a doubt you're gonna have to respect them. Respect them on the field.
They're our biggest rival. I will say this. I am terrified of going to Eugene this year. It's gonna be you're just hoping guys are hurt, guys are gonna be out, things like that, banged up, not playing kind of stuff. I have them going 12-1. I had them beating Ohio State at home, but Ohio State beating them in the Big Ten title game.
The Big Ten title game.
Yeah, because it's just too close to Columbus for them to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, we always travel well to Indianapolis, so
short week. Duck fans will get there. Duck fans will travel well, but short week, cross country, playing your rival the week before. I know
you talk about two evenly matched teams, though. I mean, those teams are really almost mirror images of each other in terms of talent. So,
I think the key is Chip Kelly. because when he calls, Chip Kelly calling offense, vastly different than Chip Kelly coaching the team.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't call the offense usually when he's the head coach. But he didn't put in the game plans and stuff like that. Like the coordinators he had say, but now and you're giving him a quarterback similar to what he had at Oregon in the years past. Like it's scary. Yeah. It's scary.
Except he's not as fragile as like a Marcus Mariota. He's a big dude who can run.
He's a big kid who can run. So like this is,
and you got two running backs back here, and Judkins and Travion Henderson that can run too.
A far superior offensive line. Yeah. So like it's that team. Oh, we didn't even get to the wide receiver room. It's just like that team scares the crap out of me. Like, and they still have studs on defense. So their best defensive player did not leave.
Yeah.
Still there playing DN. So they're going to get after the quarterback. That's what I said. I have them winning that game but losing the next. That's a scary team.
Yeah.
They're scary.
I think both those teams will end up in the playoffs. Daniel Gygax says the video Berkeley put out painting the ACC logo was weird.
It was weird. It was only weird because it's Cal. And I was like, ugh.
It still doesn't make sense to me, Cal and Stanford in
No.
the ACC. And I don't know that it ever will.
The All Coast Conference.
Yeah. Jared Jones is in the house. Hey, all good to see you, Jared. Another Buckeye.
Hey, Jared.
Timothy Green says, I think that Ohio State will play Georgia in the national championship game. That is my prediction for this year. What is your opinion on that, please? Please do not make that happen. I don't want to play Georgia in the national championship game. I don't want to play Georgia in the playoffs. I hope someone knocks them off.
No, I think Georgia's the best team in the country, but I do that. I do think Ohio State plays them there. My thing is, where will Oregon, Michigan, USC, Penn State, they're all going to be in that fight. So depending on how things go, where they fall. And also, I think like you, Notre Dame is not as talented in the past, but that quarterback, they brought in Riley Leonard. That is scary. Like, so
yeah,
who they play.
I honestly think, and this is not a joke, I think the only team that really has a chance to upsetting Georgia is USC.
Yeah.
Southern Cal. Because Georgia has struggled against super high-powered offenses. You saw that in the game against Ohio State in the playoff 2 years ago. They struggled until they knocked out Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, they struggle against those great passing attacks. Yeah. Like we can say, well, TCU was really good that year, and it's like TCU was, but they didn't have the talent or depth that a USC would have. Like,
right. Like, so I think that's what Georgia's got to look out for. Now, Ohio State can get to that passing level. I think we're going to see.
Yeah, I think like Oregon is one of those teams they're going to try and run the ball, and they're going to be very good at it. But yeah, they're not that. Like I said, they play like an SEC team that wouldn't scare Georgia. So.
Clint Moses, I really want to see Pac teams fully lean into throwback traditional uniforms. I
even changed their uniform.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen an alternate USC uniform.
Yeah. And Oregon has to get special permission to wear the other one. So they have no choice because Disney is like, no.
Yeah. There's a funny story to that. You know why all the mascots look like Disney characters?
Because they're drawn by a Disney artist.
Yeah, it was drawn by a Disney artist, got fired from Walt Disney and went up and down the coast selling mascots to teams.
Yeah.
So if you wonder why the duck looks like Donald Duck, that's why.
And they had to pay Disney to continue to use it. Yeah. And that's why the mascot at Oregon has no name.
Yeah.
We can't name him.
I thought his name was Puddles.
No, Puddles is just a troll online.
Okay.
Good one, though. I like Puddles. I follow him. No, they can't name him because he looks too much like Donald Duck. So,
yeah.
Disney apparently owns that.
Mo, and you plan on peeing on a temporary stadium at Northwestern? We don't play them in that stadium. Play them in Wrigley Field.
Yeah, you're not going to do that there.
Yeah, I'm not going to pee on Wrigley Field. Probably curse some. You might curse the Cincinnati Reds somehow. Worse than they already are.
But they do have troughs, I hear.
Yeah.
Still
have the old school troughs. Illini Ted, we plan to lull the West Coast teams to sleep when they come with our endless view of cornfields.
Have you ever been to the Palouse? God.
Put them in a corn maze. That's how we're gonna.
Right. I'm like, when you've been to, if you ever go to Pullman on the drive, all you're gonna see is wheat fields. That's it. Wheat for days.
Yeah, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, that area, it's so much damn corn. You could drive for 100 miles and see nothing but corn.
People of the corn.
Les Austin Jr. says, "Hail to the victors. Good evening, guys." Well,
good evening.
We shall see. Scavin, yes, says, "Good evening, peoples. Good evening." Keep chopping. Rutgers fan. Don't think that there has ever been a season where the preseason top 10 all finished in the top 10. That's the fun part of college football. And I think, you realize this year with the 12-team playoff, you can finish and you can go from number 1 to number 9 and still have a chance to win this championship.
Yeah. I think every year somebody has been on the outside and made it in. So Washington was not, they were like number 9 or 10 to start the year last year and worked their way into it. But they were the only one that was like on the outside of the top 5 that actually snuck in. Cause I think Florida State started off 4 or 5 on the year. So, but they're the only one that was out. So Texas was just behind Washington. So it's always weird. Somebody's going to get hurt. Like we know that, right? Like somebody's going to get hurt.
Apparently Michigan just poached Notre Dame's top recruit. Yes. Ike Taylor's son, a cornerback or safety. I forget.
I put nothing into any of that until they signed their national letter of intent and they're actually physically on campus because
it's the dilemma for me because I love to see Notre Dame lose a recruit, but I definitely don't want that recruit to go to Michigan.
Well, I mean, like it's better than the 5 stars that Oregon's racked up in the last week. So
again, national letter of intent needs to be signed.
Yeah.
I don't think Texas is out on that 5-star receiver just yet.
No.
Jared Jones says he does want Georgia in the championship. We owe them one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
If it happens, Jared, we're going to come back to you. We're bookmarking that one.
Bookmarking that one, Jared. If he cursed your team, Moen.
Yeah. You might have jinxed us. The Illini travel to Eugene for our only battle with the new teams. I'm just hoping it stays within 30. Well, Bert's team can put up 56, right? So you guys will have no problem. Or is that they can only put up 56 against Ohio State for some reason?
Probably Ohio State. Wait, what was that final? That's the final score in that trailer, right?
Yeah, in that EA trailer, it's like 56-21. Illinois is beating Ohio State.
Yeah. I have as much faith in their offenses as the video game now. Hey, the video game doesn't lie. Colorado's the 16th best team in the country. So
did you watch the gameplay reveal today?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty impressive.
It's impressive. I thought it was going to be like Madden.
Yeah, not at all. Completely different. I'm stoked. Amazing Blue says he is a safety, the kid that's coming out of Florida, Ike Taylor's son. I don't remember his name, but it's Ike Taylor from Pittsburgh. And then we'll end it with this. The Architect Big will win the inaugural 12-team CFP.
I think it's going to be a Big Ten SEC showdown. So
I think Ivan Taylor's the kid's name. Ivan. What game other than? Well, I won't put other than Oregon, Ohio State, but that's nationally probably the biggest meeting of the two, new school and old school, coming up this season. What game other than that do you think can provide the most fireworks? And you can homer out on it if you want to say Washington, Michigan, you can.
No, I that one's gonna draw eyeballs just because it's a rematch. And I think at that point Washington could be 4-1 or 5-0. And obviously Michigan will probably be 5-0 because they don't play anybody prior to that game. They don't play.
Well,
anybody.
they play Texas prior to that
Texas
game.
is the big one. Like if they beat Texas, it's gonna really draw some eyeballs. As far as the games go in the Big Ten, it's got to be the Penn State games against the two. Like Penn State, they're at USC. I think that one's going to be. And I think it's late in the year. I think it's like November. It's like late October or November. That one's going to be the eyeball draw. Like that one's going to be insane. Because I think those are the two teams that could be fighting for third or fourth.
Right. Very odd. I also think USC Michigan's a great game.
Yeah, USC Michigan will draw. Oregon's playing. Who is it? Oregon, I think, plays Michigan as well.
Yeah.
That one's gonna, and they're at the Big House. That one's gonna draw some eyeballs. So there's some really. I mean, it's just an incredible year. I have a feeling. I have this weird feeling that Rutgers is going to be sneaky good.
I agree.
Like in October or November, I can't remember who it was that was on their schedule. I'm like looking it up right now. They had somebody that was like good that I was like, man, if they just stay relevant and can be like decent, it's going to draw eyeballs. And it's the game at US or
at SC at 11 o'clock at night.
Correct. That's the one. Like it's late, but I think it's going to draw some eyeballs on a Friday from the West Coast and the Midwest that'll like catch it. But the other game was the Nebraska game in October. If they can, I think if they win that game and they win it going away, it's going to start to draw they're going to start to draw eyeballs. Like the next week is Wisconsin, for instance. Like they're just going to start to click, and if they can get rolling, that USC game, I think, is the one that's going to be like, oh God, we got to tune in because they could both be undefeated. And I'll just say this: their schedule is pretty decent for this. For those who don't know, it's week 1 Howard, week 2 Akron. Those are both home games. Then they're at Virginia Tech. That one could draw eyeballs. Then they're home with Washington, at Nebraska, home with Wisconsin, at UCLA, or home with UCLA, at USC, home with Minnesota, at Maryland, home with Illinois, and they finish the year at Michigan State. Like,
yeah, Rutgers has got a fairly, I don't want to say easy because it's not easy, but they've got a far less difficult run than most other schools in the Big Ten. So,
if they can figure out how to throw the football, and that's a big if, because they did not throw the ball well last year. Anybody watch them? They just quarterback out the side, hand the ball off. If they can throw the ball effectively this year, Washington is their first true. Washington and Virginia Tech are their first true tests, and then Nebraska is going to be defensively a battle, and then they could easily win. After Washington, they should be able to go on a 3-game win streak because they're at Nebraska. We don't know how good they are, but Wisconsin and USC at home back-to-back weeks, they can win both those games. So they could be undefeated by the time to get to USC.
I think the biggest West Coast game that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is the first game of the year for USC. USC at LSU.
That one, USC tried to get out of that game.
Yes.
Riley wanted Lincoln Riley wanted no part of that game, and he's been trying to get out of it for a couple of years, basically since he got there. That one's going to be scary. Like that one's going to be, if USC wins that game, it's going to be like, oh God, they're back. Like, oh God, they're back.
That's going to be the time to show out for the Big Ten.
Because
if
their
USC
schedule
can win that game.
They don't play. So like after that, they're home with Utah State, and then they go to the Big House.
Yeah.
So like that's their first 3 games. They could be 1-2 or 3-0. I don't think there's an in between. They could be 1-2 or 3-0. Because that I don't know if they can, if they beat LSU. I don't see them like losing that high. Unless they get a letdown against Utah State for some stupid reason, but
no, but I don't. It's interesting to see with Michigan's defensive capabilities, USC's offensive capabilities. Michigan's built their defense to kind of try and stop. They built their offense to kind of stop high-powered offenses as well. They've more or less built themselves to beat Ohio State.
The question we have to ask with USC. They have the new defensive coordinator who was UCLA's last year. Can he improve them enough? Because when we say out here on the West Coast, people joke about how bad USC's defense was last year. We were like, no, they couldn't block a shadow. Like they couldn't create a shadow. Like couldn't cast a shadow. Like they can't get in the way of anything to make a tackle. So like they can't tackle at all. Like Washington played their worst defensive game, and you were like, "Oh, this game's Washington's going to win this game." Like USC showed up, played their best game by a mile offensively, and still could not win. So if they can just improve by like, I think somebody said, if they can give up like 30 less rushing yards a game, they might have gone like 9-3 last year. Like it's a stupid stat, but it's like all they got to do is just slight improvement, and they couldn't get after the quarterback last year. So
yeah, I figured Alex Grinch had naked pictures of Lincoln Riley as long as he kept that guy around.
I don't know who, like everybody kept him around. Like he coached at Washington State under Mike Leach.
Yeah,
and rather than go out and recruit a 300-pound kid who's a 2-star defensive tackle, they went with 4-star, 230-pound defensive ends and put them at tackle. Like, it doesn't work.
No, he coached at Ohio State too. He was not.
Yeah.
Okay, he coached at Oklahoma.
Wasn't he like a co-defense coordinator with what's his name at Ohio State?
I think he came after Luke Fickell.
No, is it with Schiano? Was it with
I think you
Schiano?
might be right. It might have been the Schiano era.
A
very early
like
part
a co-defensive coordinator with Schiano. And then they were like, no, you're, and then Meyer was like, no, you're fired. Schiano, you're staying. Something like that. Which is smart.
But Meyer's also the one who hired him. So let's see.
Again, I don't understand.
Again, Meyer made some terrible hires. He was a great head football coach, but he would hire some terrible assistants. Tim Beck, couldn't score a point against Clemson in a bowl game,
which is insane. Like, but couldn't stop him either. Like, I know.
Yeah. Clay Johansson's looking forward to Michigan USC. I think that's a game that we're all looking forward to. Jared Jones.
It's
Penn
early
State
September. I don't understand why that game's in September. God.
I do, because they want them eyeballs. Timothy Green thinks USC beats Penn State just like West Virginia is going to.
Yeah.
I think they will make the USC versus Michigan game. They will hype it up. I think you've tried to say night game. Amazing Blue.
Yeah.
Oregon at Michigan again. Yeah, that's going to show a lot of what Oregon's got. I don't know how far in the season that one is.
Yeah, I mean, like, can we just talk though for a second about Week 7 in college football?
Oh,
that's the week that Ohio State's at Oregon.
Oregon.
Have you seen that? If nobody's seen that schedule, that is ridiculous. You have Ole Miss at LSU, Oregon, Ohio State at Oregon, Penn State at USC, Washington's at Iowa. You have who else? Where else are we? We got Kansas State at Colorado, Iowa State's at West Virginia. And I mean, there's still some big ones. Texas is at Oklahoma. Texas and Oklahoma get together.
Texas and Oklahoma, the Red River rivalry.
You just got a slate of games that day that are stupid good. Like, stupid good. And I don't even know where to begin on that week. Like, that's going to be, you have South Carolina at Alabama is like the worst game in the SEC that week.
Yeah. I'd have to imagine that Ohio State-Oregon game is going to be a noon game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a noon game too. Because Texas and Oklahoma is at 12:30 Pacific time.
Right.
So they're not putting anything against that. That game wipes out your whole slate.
And then you're going to have Penn State at USC as your night game.
Yeah. So because you have Stanford's at Notre Dame, so that's the afternoon NBC game. And then Fox is going to broadcast Washington State and Fresno State. So at some point in the day, that game's on Fox.
That's going to be the 3:30 game.
Probably going to be the 3:30 game. So it's by the way, you have Florida at Tennessee, which they could both be terrible. People are going to watch that.
Jared, I realize it's at Oregon, but the US, you've also got that USC game sitting out there. One of those games has to be a noon game.
One has to be a noon game. They're not going to put that game. If they put that game on at 4:30 Pacific time, it is up against, Texas, and that an hour later, they're not going to do that. They got to put it on before, and they're not going to do it after. So
one of those games has to be at noon.
Got to be on at noon. Got to be. It's a crazy slate. And, the weirdest thing about that whole week is the worst game of the week is Missouri at UMass.
Well, what's the number 3 game for the Big Ten?
Let's look at the Big Ten schedule here. 1 second here. We'll pull up the Big Ten here.
Jared thinks Washington at Iowa will be noon.
They're going to put that on at a time where they can draw some eyeballs, for sure.
Well, if that's the number 3 game, I can't see Fox giving up Oregon, Ohio State, and USC Penn State for Washington at Iowa. And I completely understand what you're saying. It's going to be a 9 a.m. start for those West Coast teams. But by the same token, you've got Rutgers traveling to the West Coast.
Yeah. So 1 second here. I've got the schedule up now. All right. So here we go. Friday is set. It's Northwestern at Maryland, so we can ignore that. So then you have Minnesota at UCLA. That's probably going to be on
Big Ten Network. Or Peacock.
Then, like I said, you have Ohio State at Oregon, Penn State at USC, Purdue at Illinois. That's like a meh. Washington at Iowa. They're going to put that on something. And then Wisconsin at Rutgers, which could be good. Could be crazy good. So, and then if we look at the SEC, here. Pull up the SEC schedule. I do like future schedules because you can get it by the week and by the conference. The SEC schedule has, like I said, Texas at Oklahoma at 3:30. It'll either be ABC or ESPN. So that's set. ESPN has put time designations, by the way. Florida at Tennessee will be on between 3:30 and 8 o'clock Eastern. Mississippi State at Georgia will be 3:30 to 8 o'clock Eastern. Vanderbilt will be on between 3:30 and 8 o'clock Eastern. South Carolina at Alabama set for noon. And then Ole Miss at LSU will be on between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock Eastern. And then obviously Missouri at UMass, nobody's going to watch that. So they'll just put that on the SEC network randomly during the day. That'll probably be a noon kickoff, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So nobody's going to watch it.
Right, Jared. And I know what Kerry Kenny said, but again, I can't see Fox Sports passing on both those games. And both those games are on the West Coast. So I guess we'll find out when they release the times. I think they're releasing times during media days. So
this is the first time where you look at a schedule and you go, "Oh my God, they have to figure something out."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, you got to feel bad for Rutgers. Rutgers has to travel all the way across the country and then play at 11 p.m. their time.
Yeah, like this is weird because this is why the Big Ten got NBC and CBS involved, so they could have these primetime games.
Cougar Tracks has been a member for 4 months. Wants to say hello, everyone. Good to see you, Cougar Tracks. Let's get up here and get some more of these comments. Clay Johansson says Rutgers USC. Yeah, that's a rough one for Rutgers.
That's brutal. 11 o'clock Eastern time start. Ugh. I couldn't imagine. That'd be so late.
Michigan and Ohio State fans always bring the eyeballs. Yeah, we do. Even if it's a terrible game, we'll watch it. Timothy Green thinks LSU will beat USC. I think that's where the money's on. I think LSU is favored in that game.
I think they're favored right now.
Alex Grinch despised tackle. Yeah, I don't think he knew what a tackle was. I said, I think he had naked pictures of somebody somewhere. USC had better have better defense this year or they're really in trouble. They've had some good defensive recruits, and then they've lost them.
I mean, they still have the kid that they got from Georgia playing nose tackle.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. But, yeah, they don't. I mean, they had a 6'8" dude who weighed 216 pounds playing linebacker. Like, who has that? Like, he's actually like 6'6", but he weighed like 220 playing linebacker. He looked skinny. He looked like a wide receiver playing linebacker. It was stupid.
Keep Chopping says excited for the better football games. Last year there were many weeks with very few interesting games. Yeah, that's a nice thing. Even if they're not blockbuster matchups, it's going to be cool to watch a Washington and an Iowa. Some of these, West Coast schools versus East Coast schools. So, and some of these new SEC teams. How do the Texas and Oklahoma? How do they fit in there? How does Oklahoma fit in there in particular? Because I don't understand why they gave Brent Venables that contract extension this year. I think you probably should have waited 1 year to see how this season played out in the SEC.
Well, I'm like, Dylan Gabriel's gone. I mean, people don't know. Dylan Gabriel was legit last year. Like, he was good. Like, and he's now at Oregon.
Yeah.
They were horrible the year before. Horrible. Dylan Gabriel comes in, starts, immediately good. Like, I don't know. The architect. I agree. 6-6.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 6-6, 7-5. They might sneak one. Stormy Cyclone says Michigan versus Texas. One of the only times I'll be cheering for Michigan. That's one of the only times I'll be cheering for Texas. So we got some stuff in common. Let's see. Jackson Johnson says, "What's up, College Football Mafia Nation?" Not a whole lot. We're just keeping it locked down here on Monday, talking some football. Why the heck is an SEC team traveling to UMass? Because they need the win. Colorado K-State is at noon. So that's the week 7 game. But is that going to be Fox's answer that they're going to take Colorado K-State?
No.
I mean, if they think, I mean, they can put those 2 games head to head, but I just don't see it.
I mean, is Colorado going to really draw the eyeballs again this year?
Depends on how they start out. I mean, if they're 6-0 or 5-0 going into that game, they might.
It might. I mean, but it's Colorado. I really think last year was a fluke, like ratings wise. Mostly everybody was rooting for them to lose, and then they did, and the ratings went.
Yeah, hate watch.
Yeah,
hate watch is a strong thing. Jackson Johnson says, I still can't believe Washington Rutgers will be a conference game. Imagine telling that to your parents that Washington Rutgers will be a conference game 10 years ago. Yeah. Hard to imagine. Hard to imagine.
Like
imagine
8 years ago, we were playing them for the first time ever.
Yeah. Tell them Texas, Oklahoma wouldn't be in the Big 12.
It's wild. I mean, nobody saw the Southwest Conference dying and essentially Texas and Oklahoma actually being in a conference together, but here we are.
Yeah, I think that Colorado-Nebraska game is going to have a lot of eyeballs on it.
Yes, it will.
Jackson Johnson gives us the countdown: 47 days till week 0, 52 days until week 1, and 54 days until week 1 Saturday, and 25 days until the Big Ten adds 4 schools from the West Coast, and USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon.
I mean, they might as well just already do stuff for it. Because
I'm interested to see. I'll have to check on YouTube if they have a regional designation for the Big Ten network out there. If they have like a Big Ten LA and a Big Ten Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, because it'll be LA and Seattle will probably be where they put the 2 regional stuff. I know the Big Ten network has been out here hiring people.
Yeah.
They have said as much on in the Big Ten network president has said as much. So he's been to Los Angeles and Seattle hiring people. So I think that's where the 2 will be. So
yeah, I'm excited to watch the coverage that day. I think the coverage starts at midnight that day, guys. So if you've got the Big Ten network, tune in. Let's see what it's all about.
It's going to be the new commercial.
Yeah. Oh, if that would be awesome.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Commercial 1201. I still think that they should start that commercial at Rutgers and move to the West Coast, but I know a lot of people hate that idea.
Ending at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I think makes sense. Rutgers is where football started. Rose Bowl, the historic Rose Bowl. That's where the season ends.
The Big Ten now owns 90% of the Rose Bowl victories.
Right.
Insane to say.
The Big Ten conference games played there.
And it's not only is it our stadium and our conference now, it's literally a team's stadium in the conference now. We got that one. It's just ours.
Stormy Cyclone, do they do Georgia Tech Mafia drank in the Northwest?
Yeah, I got a White Claw today. And anybody who's never been here, we in Seattle, we don't measure, we pour. Have fun.
That's a proper way to have a drink. You can't pour a double.
Look, if you're tasting the mixer, you're not in Seattle.
Illini Ted says they can put that Purdue at Illini game at 9 a.m. local. We can all either drink the rest of the day in celebration or to drown our sorrows. I think you're probably going to be drowning your sorrows, I think. I don't know. Burt might beat Purdue. It's at
Illinois.
It's at Illinois.
Purdue's probably going to lose that game. If it was at Purdue and Illinois was ranked in the top 10, I'd be like, you're screwed.
Oh, yeah. The Architect says the Trojans' defense will be much improved. They were awful last year, yes. So
can't go anywhere but up.
Can't go any worse, so obviously.
I think the only defense that was worse in the conference was Colorado's, and they were bad.
Jackson Johnson says, I don't mind staying up late for a college football game or an NFL game. Matter of fact, I wouldn't mind waking up at 6 a.m. for a college football game or NFL game. What can I say? I love football that much. Yeah, you know me, I loved Pack After Dark, even if nobody else did.
Oh, I love Pac. I love Pac-12 After Dark. I did not like Pac-12 After Dark in Tempe or Tucson.
Yeah, in Arizona.
I'll tell you, as a Husky fan, we never want to travel to Arizona for anything other than a bowl game again. That's it. Like if UW ever schedules them to play football in Tucson or Tempe, I'm going to lose my mind. Hate playing there.
Mystery Man says, yes, that is strange that UMass has 3 SEC games. That's probably financing their entire athletic department for the next 2 years.
Probably. Well, they're joining the MAC.
Yeah.
After this season, I think.
I love me some Maction too. So I don't know. Do you watch Maction, Jackson? That's if you haven't watched a game on Tuesday at 8 p.m. between Akron and Central Michigan.
I look forward to those where we have NFL football on Monday, college football Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, NFL football on Sunday. Like, it's the best. 7 days a week, you get one game at least. It's the best feeling.
Stormy Cyclone, Oregon and Wisconsin killing it in recruiting. Are you worried, Moen? I am more worried about Oregon this year. Wisconsin gives me some trepidation in future years, just because Luke Fickell seems to be the kind of guy who would beat Ohio State.
I'm not worried. Again, I don't worry about recruiting because in the transfer portal era, it doesn't matter. In the end, it won't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. You've got to have good coaching, and you've got to be able to retain players. So if you wake any team now, we've seen this now. Any team can be good. Look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is becoming Oregon, but in the SEC. They aren't playing around down there. Like, they just grabbed a bunch of the best players that were available, and they're going to be really, really good. They grabbed 2 players here from Seattle, from last year's national title team, playing team in Washington. Like, it's ridiculous. They're good. So,
and they got Lane Kiffin.
Who can absolutely recruit.
The architect says Colorado will be better this year. They have improved the roster.
That's not what I'm worried about with Colorado.
Yeah, I'm worried about the coaching.
Coaching and egos, because their starting quarterback and their starting safety are the sons of dad, and they've got a couple of egos. So,
Jared Jones thinking like us. When does the new Big Ten commercial come out? Like I said, hopefully it comes out 12:01.
Yep.
And if they change the song again, there's going to be hell to pay. They changed the song on it one time.
I know, and it was horrible.
Yeah,
I was like,
riots.
I was like, man, I wish every time it came on, I was like, man, I wish we were in that commercial. Like, why didn't Pac-12 have something cool like this?
Yeah.
When they changed the song back, I was like, oh my God, this is so much better.
We want to live forever on a boat out in the sea. Promoto says, great show, guys. Good to see you, Promoto. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Did the Big hire any of the Pac announcers yet? I heard Ashley was joining. I don't know. You know?
No, I haven't heard anything. I'm really hoping Yogi Roth joins, but they have to keep a few of them because they are producing the actual games that are going to be on the CW. So they're going to have to keep a few.
Yeah, we'll see. August 2nd, like I said, 25 days away, guys. Start, 25. It's actually I think 24 days and 4 hours left. So
I can't wait.
Les Austin Jr. says, everyone hit that like and celebrate a new era of big football. Yes, do that. Hit that like regardless. If you're feeling generous, you can leave us a super chat, become a member, or gift a membership by clicking the cash icon. I won't harp on you. Sergeant Pickles did not retire. He's on sabbatical. He will be back next week, I promise. You will not see this ugly mug on Mondays.
But we're gonna lose out on the Moen Hawk.
Yeah, you will lose the Moen Hawk. It's growing in nicely.
And we get a beard, but we gotta trade a Moen Hawk for a beard.
Yeah. Well, tell Pickles he's got to shave his beard into a Moen Hawk. Just shave it right down there.
Just shave the chin, leave everything else.
Yeah. Go to the big old sideburns. I used to have mutton chops.
There you go.
But yeah, Sergeant Pickles will be back next week. I'm just trying to hold the fort down for him. He had some work duties he had to take care of.
Remember that construction guy in the office? Who was like a good friend, the next door neighbor of what's his name?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I picture Pickles like next week. Like, I want to see it.
All right, Pickles, you threw the gauntlet down. You got to do it. Coy, I read somewhere that they hired a couple pack announcers, but I can't remember who. We'll find out on August 2nd, guys. Because, I mean, you're going to see some new people. I've heard big things on the Big Ten Network for that date. So, obviously stay tuned. Yep, Kusa has the all days of the week thing going this year as well. Yeah, it's smart. Because, I mean, even if you don't like Akron versus Toledo, just watch that game and either bet the under or the over, and it's instant excitement, guys.
If you're not gambling on those games,
those games are the fun ones.
Those are the fun ones to gamble on. Like, if you're going to gamble and you want to blow money, those are the ones.
Yeah, and if you don't know anything about point spreads or odds or anything like that,
those are the ones.
The over or under. Just bet one of them.
Yeah.
Just take a $20 bill and say, I'm betting the under on the game, and then you'll be surprised.
Like, I'm going to put
it's instant fun.
I'm betting that Liberty loses to, Marshall. All right, here we go. Like, bet it.
It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. Those are the only ones I bet on, like, ever, because they're fun.
The Architect. I cannot wait for the big Friday night games. That's true. We're going to have Friday night games.
I really think, Moen, I don't know about you, but I think those are going to draw eyeballs. Like,
I think Peacock's going to be very happy with those games.
Yeah.
Are there some decent big Friday night games? I haven't checked the schedule that came out. I don't know that they've assigned Friday night games, have they?
In the Big Ten? They have.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hold on, I can tell you who they are. Let's see. Nope. Let's see what they got. Because they've assigned all of them. Here we go. There's nothing week one is just like, bad games, but let's look. I think they start week 3. Nope. Week 4. Yeah. So the first one is week 4, Illinois at Nebraska.
Okay, that's not so great, but we'll see how Burt and Nebraska defense on defense.
Yep. Then we have Washington at Rutgers.
Oh, yeah, okay. That Rutgers could surprise some people.
Michigan State at Oregon.
Oh, Michigan State's going to get slaughtered in that game.
It's going to be so bad.
It's bad.
Week 7 is Northwestern at Maryland.
Maryland is much improved. Northwestern, we still have to wait and see. They did well last year.
Now, Moen, this is where it gets sketchy because week 8 is Oregon, who will probably be top 5, at Purdue.
That's the spoiler maker game right there.
That's the spoiler maker game. Like, that's written prime time.
Yeah. Prime time at Purdue.
Yeah.
You're going to lose Oregon. You might as well just take that.
Might as well take that. And then the Rutgers at USC, which I have no idea why it's on at 11 p.m. Eastern, but okay. Then we have nothing on week 10. Week 11, Iowa at UCLA. That'll be a good one.
That'll be good.
Week 12 is UCLA at Washington. Yeah, Washington. Well, Washington has just struggled with UCLA. It's a stupid thing. UCLA could be terrible. Washington will be like, oh, we might not beat them. Week 13, Purdue at Michigan State. Week 14 has 2 games. Because that's
Black Friday,
that's Black
right?
Friday.
Right.
So it's Minnesota. It's Minnesota at Wisconsin, Nebraska at Iowa.
Yeah, 2 trophy games.
Those,
so
which those are on Paramount Plus and Peacock. So they're already set in stone. 12 o'clock Eastern and 7:30 Eastern. So.
According to Keep Chopping, the Rutgers at USC is because of MLB playoffs. That's the reason it's being played at 11 p.m.
Again, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. Because it's on Fox. Like, I don't know why it's on Fox. Just move the baseball game to FS1.
Or just move that game to Peacock and let them play it at a normal time,
Yeah.
I think obviously this is a trial run for Friday night games. There's certain schools that will not play Friday night games.
No,
Ohio State won't play a Friday night game. Michigan won't play a Friday night game. Penn State won't play a Friday night game.
What I hear, they may not have a choice.
Well,
I don't think that what they'll do is I don't think they'll play them like they're going to be the teams that are like, we're not going to go west to play them.
Yeah, I think if they play them, it has to be very, very early in the season.
Yeah, and they're not going to play on West Coast. They're going to be like, we want home only, or we want to be short trips.
Right, because Friday night in Ohio is for high school football. So
yeah,
late in the season playoff runs, I don't think they're gonna do that. So
they don't have a choice, but I think they have a choice on where it's played. So
Clay Johansson says there's 2 Big Ten Network Friday night games on week 1.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, they're just like, one's on Big Ten Network, the other's on FS1. Yeah, they got 3 games on Thursday as well. So 2 on Big Ten. The game on Fox is North Carolina and Minnesota. So, which
Grayson Ganoush reminds us life is too short to bet the under.
A good friend of mine always tells me, he's like, you only live once, go big or don't do anything at all. So
there you go.
He's like a habitual gambler. So, I was like,
told her that Vegas.
Yeah, we go to Vegas
with a cardboard sign,
Yeah, we go to Vegas. He doesn't buy anything but food and bets. He does not drink. He's like, nope, food, bets. And he always leaves up or he leaves dramatically down. So
KZoo wants to know, Mo, with Friday night Big Ten games, will there still be a college football Mafia live show on those Friday nights? There will be, and we'll be giving score updates. I will put it right over here on the big screen. I got a big screen next to my office desk, and I will give you live updates, and we shall see. Especially during this game. Ross-Ade will be worked into a frenzy that Friday night when Oregon travels. So yeah. Spoiler makers.
I've told Oregon fans, like, you're playing that game, man. Like, there's 2 places in the Big Ten that I keep hearing from you guys. You don't want to play and be ranked at Iowa, at Purdue, and if you're going to do it, don't do it at night.
Don't do it at night. Yep.
Don't do it at night. So it's like, ugh.
Keep Chopping says Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State won't play at home on Fridays, but they could do the Rutgers, Purdue, Indiana circuit.
Yeah.
We'll see. We shall see, guys.
Like I said, they don't exactly have a choice. The networks have the choice. They have a choice in where they go and who they play. So they're not going to play. There won't be I don't care if Ohio State's like, they could lose 20 games in a row, right? They're not going to play at UCLA on a Friday night. So it's never going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they're too much of a ratings draw, I think, for the networks. They want to have them on the Saturday slate that they all paid for. So
yeah.
Jose says he goes knee deep in some action. Yeah, action's fun.
Action is so good. God, it's good.
It's good to watch a 45-47 game.
Was it last year? It was like in the snow.
Yeah,
it was just like coming down. I think it was at like Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, and Toledo, I think, was the other team.
Stupid snow. I was like, you're not gonna see that on a Saturday ever. They're like 3 fans still in the stands. I'm like, this is a great game. Worst game I ever watched, but I was like, I'm sucked into it.
It does that to you. So, let's wrap it up here, Becky. Any last words you have? West Coast to East Coast, the new battle, the new East Coast West Coast battle. Hopefully, nobody gets shot. Hopefully,
I don't think we have any rappers to worry about. No, I just implore people, don't assume that the West Coast schools that are coming in are going to be pushovers because of like narratives in the past. Week in, week out, you can get anything you want. Most teams had a month to prepare for those teams in bowl season. So what Pac-12 tradition the Big Ten needs to know about? We don't have a ton of traditions. We're not the tradition type. I will say out here in Seattle, we are great tailgaters. You want to definitely do that. We don't do trophies. We're not doing USC and UCLA do play for a trophy. They play for a bell, I believe. But as far as like the traditions go, USC and UCLA will, get in trouble. They're going to wear the exact same. They're going to wear their home uniforms no matter what. Washington will always try to wear the purple at Oregon, depending on what shade of green Oregon is wearing that day. Oregon's tradition is no tradition. That's what they want. That's what they shoot for. They do have some traditions. Like say, do not fret when you see the visitor locker room at Oregon. It is a trailer. I'm not joking. Most Oregon fans, the big tradition is walking into the stadium across the river. That's what a lot of them do. People don't know the stadium sits like pretty much like on the edge of a river and across from the school. So you have to kind of like walk over to it. And then, like I said, Seattle, Washington is a great stadium. We have, the other thing, Oregon does do, what's that song from Animal House? Shout.
Oh, yeah.
They do shout. They will do shout at, I can't remember what point in the game that they do it, but they will play shout kind of a la Wisconsin. Washington will play a lot. Hope you like grunge music because you're going to hear a lot of grunge inside the stadium. Sailgating. If you can and you come out here, try to meet up with people and sailgate. You can walk. A lot of the people will gladly let you on their boat and hang out. It is our tradition. It's a lot of fun, and it's the best way. I swear to God, it's the best way to like tailgate, especially in September when it's going to be like 85 degrees and you're going to want to jump in that lake.
Yeah. What if they're wearing duck uniforms? You let them on the boat?
We usually tell them no.
Tell them no, ducks know how to swim. So
yeah, I say this with all sincerity. As deep a rivalry as that game is, we are not polite. So,
well, they're already fitting into the Big Ten then.
If you go to an Oregon game and a bag hits you, do not assume that it's water. It's not a water.
Oh,
let me tell you.
Okay.
So
thank you.
That is the thing. It's a joke. It doesn't really happen, but some people have taken it seriously. But yeah. Wow. We all serve alcohol in our stadiums. So
the Midwest people will appreciate that because they love to drink alcohol.
$7 beers. $7 beers.
That's kind of cheap, actually. I've seen them priced size 14.
Yeah. No, like Washington, we try to keep it down. Alcohol sales until the 4th.
All right. So fantastic. Well, it's been another great Big West Mafia show. I want to thank Becky for allowing me to co-host again this week. Yep. And next week it'll be back to Sergeant Pickles and Becky Go Huskies. You have anything else you want to say before we get out of here, Becky?
Yeah. One last thing. Keep your eye out there. Things could happen this week. Things could happen in the next 10 days. Do not be surprised if what you think happens isn't what happens.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
I'm hearing
Expect the
some rumors.
unexpected.
Hearing some things. I'm hearing some things. So
Okay. Okay, there's a little teaser for you. She tickled your ass with a feather. She's hearing some things. So we'll see you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow for Big 12 Mafia show at 8 p.m. Becky will see you guys next week, same time, same channel, Big
Yep.
West Mafia show. Until then, we will say peace out.